At the very start of this year, a single vague signal from an agency was enough to shake an entire fandom. No names spoken aloud, no promises made. Yet suddenly, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan were back at the center of conversation. Separate paths, synchronized timing, and a future that feels closer than anyone dares to say out loud. The beginning of a new year often brings noise, announcements, celebrations, bold statements. But this year began differently. Quietly, almost carefully, two names resurfaced without effort. Wang Yibo, Xiao Zhan. They didn't appear together. They didn't stand on the same stage. And yet, their presence felt unavoidable. What ignited the conversation wasn't a collaboration announcement or a dramatic reveal. It was something subtler. An agency statement hinting at large-scale future projects. No details, no timelines, just enough ambiguity to awaken hope that had never truly faded. For longtime fans, this wasn't random. They've learned to read between the lines. They know that in this industry, silence often speaks louder than confirmation. As discussions spread across fandom spaces, the tone felt different from the past. Less demand, more anticipation, a collective pause, as if everyone sensed something was unfolding, but not yet ready to be named. This wasn't about nostalgia alone. It was about timing. And timing, for Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, has always meant everything. As the year opened, Wang Yibo's trajectory became increasingly clear. Focused, intense, relentless. His schedule reflected a deliberate choice to challenge himself beyond comfort. Physically demanding roles, emotionally complex preparations, brand responsibilities handled with precision rather than noise. Industry watchers noticed something important. These were not projects chasing instant attention. They were investments in longevity. Wang Yibo moved like someone building a future quietly, brick by brick. No rush. No need to explain himself. At the same time, Xiao Zhan was moving in a very different rhythm, yet toward a strangely similar destination. Selective appearances, measured interviews, a visible shift toward depth rather than frequency. His presence felt calmer, more grounded. There was confidence in how he chose when to speak and when not to. Fans described it as maturity, not distance, not retreat, but control. Two artists, two paths, both clearly intentional. And that's when the parallels became impossible to ignore. As days passed, fans began to notice something that felt impossible to ignore. It wasn't an announcement. It wasn't a coincidence captured by paparazzi. It was a pattern, slow, subtle, and emotionally charged. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan were moving separately, yet somehow in harmony. When one entered an intense preparation phase, the other also retreated into focus. When one reduced public exposure, the other seemed to mirror that silence. No coordination was visible. No confirmation existed. Yet the rhythm felt familiar to those who had watched them for years. Fans started calling it unspoken alignment, a shared tempo that doesn't require communication, only understanding. Then came the moments that truly ignited emotional discussion. A fleeting smile during an interview when a familiar name hovered nearby. A carefully neutral sentence delivered with unexpected warmth. A pause, slightly longer than necessary, before the topic gently shifted away. These are not mistakes. They felt intentional. To casual viewers, they meant nothing. But to longtime followers, they carried weight. Because silence, in this context, wasn't emptiness. It was restraint. It was protection. The fandom's reaction evolved. Instead of demanding answers, fans leaned into interpretation. Instead of pushing for confirmation, they began appreciating subtlety. Many believe that whatever bond exists today has matured beyond visibility. Not something to be displayed, but something to be safeguarded. And strangely, that realization brought comfort rather than frustration. What became increasingly striking in the early months of this year was not what Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan shared, but what they collectively avoided. In an industry where engagement often feeds controversy, both chose calm. They did not respond to speculation. They did not correct assumptions. They did not step into debates that could easily have boosted attention. This silence wasn't passive. It was deliberate. Fans interpreted it as a sign of shared maturity, a mutual understanding that peace is worth more than explanation. When Wang Yibo spoke publicly about discipline, endurance, and long-term focus, fans heard echoes of Xiao Zhan's journey, quiet resilience shaped by experience. When Xiao Zhan reflected on patience, growth, and self-balance, many felt those words aligned seamlessly with Wang Yibo's philosophy. No names were mentioned, no connections were drawn openly, yet the emotional resonance was unmistakable. What once fueled tension now inspired reflection. The fandom conversation shifted again, this time toward respect. Respect for boundaries. Respect for evolution. Fans no longer asked, "Are they close?" They began asking, "Are they at peace?" And the answer, based on actions rather than words, seemed to be yes. In choosing restraint, both artists redefined strength. Not loud, not defensive, but grounded. So where does this quiet momentum lead? There's still no official confirmations, no shared stages, no declared collaborations. Only that early years signal from the agency, subtle, intentional, and impossible to ignore. Those familiar with the industry know that major movements often begin this way. Not with noise, but with preparation. Not with exposure, but with alignment. Whether Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's paths cross again professionally or continue in parallel, one truth feels undeniable. They no longer exist to satisfy expectation. They move with confidence shaped by history, with respect shaped by experience, with boundaries shaped by hard-earned wisdom. Their silence has become a statement. Their calm, a message. And for fans, that message feels reassuring rather than distant. This is no longer a story driven by speculation. It is one carried by understanding. Sometimes the most powerful connection isn't announced. It's protected. And sometimes the strongest bond is the one that doesn't need to be seen, only felt.